One of the most common questions that arise when seeing someone dominate at the college level is, does his game translate to the NBA?
But how will his game translate, I think, has been the question over and over again for Zach Edey.
He's playing hell of basketball, but, whoever drafts him in the lottery is probably going to get fired within a few years after that draft pick.
A question that's been asked since the dawn of time, and it's one that 7'4" Zach Edey is well aware of. This giant traditional post-up center was the first player to win College Basketball Player of the Year in back-to-back seasons since Ralph Sampson in the early 80s.
Wow.
He was a phenomenal college player, which most people expected because, well, it's an environment that favors bigs, and yet nobody really knew where Edey would go in the draft because of how much the NBA has changed, with more questions surrounding his mobility, athleticism, sustainability through a rigorous 82-game season at light speed play, all being fair concerns. But even with his glaring disadvantages, Edey brings a lot to the table that the Memphis Grizzlies were willing to take a chance on with the 9th overall pick. For starters, these guys absolutely needed a center, given the opponents they're facing night to night. The Nuggets have Jokic and Aaron Gordon, Lakers have LeBron and Anthony Davis, there's Lively and Gafford. The Spurs, while not great, have Wembanyama. There's Zubats, Şengün, yes, even Rudy Gobert, and now Julius Randle, who both get paint action. And that's not everyone out west, but assuming it's not a back-to-back, there's Embiid in Philly with Drummond backing him up. There's Giannis and Brook Lopez in Milwaukee, and you get the point. It's a lot to ask of Jaren Jackson Jr. to play center, so grabbing Edey allows Triple J to move over to his true position at the 4. I want to talk about Edey's gravity, which is something I think is vastly underrated. When Edey comes over to set a screen, this presents problem number 1 for opposing defenses. He still doesn't possess a shooting ability that keeps defenders honest, and so most defenders are in a deep drop. But his screen creates so much separation between the on-ball defender and ball handler that it's going to give guys either better looks from 3 or more room to attack into space to draw help. If defenses try to blitz the ball screen, it's almost impossible not to be able to get the ball to Edey, and now all of a sudden he has a free look in the paint or a kick out if defenses collapse. If defenses choose to switch on it, he has the size, strength, and ability to actually score in the post over a mismatch, which will naturally draw help defense, leading to more kickouts. Even away from the action, you'll see Edey drawing fouls on guys just fighting to keep him out of the paint, which will help put the Grizzlies in the bonus sooner if teams aren't careful. So yeah, Edey has a lot of gravity that the Grizzlies are seeing right away. On the defensive side, Edey is as traditional as it gets as a rim protector, and he's had some trouble adjusting to the speed of the game, as you can see from some of these fouls, oftentimes when defending pick and rolls. In fact, he actually broke a record in his regular season debut against the Utah Jazz, becoming the first player in NBA history since the NBA-ABA merger to foul out in his first game while playing 15 minutes or less. An oddly specific but relevant stat that gives the Edey haters a point towards their arguments. But Edey has also done a good job of forcing guys to reset from drives, causing turnovers, altering shots, and of course erasing some along the way thanks to his great size. So while he will have issues going from drop coverage to trying to close out on guys, he seems to move okay enough to where I think he'll improve over time and maybe even figure out better angles to help himself as time goes on. Whenever Edey screens for Ja, opposing teams will be tasked with those electrifying Ja Morant attacks to the basket, which tend to draw help defense. And we know with how great of a passer Morant is, those Edey lobs are free money. And that lob option goes for pretty much anyone on this team playing the two-man game with Edey. Also being able to use Edey's gravity to instead find an open shooter as the defense scrambles to block Edey's path to the rim. So he adds another wrinkle into how the Grizzlies can get offense. Let's take a look at another part of his game that I think deserves a little more recognition: his vision. At 7'4", he has an outstanding line of sight that he tends to use to his advantage. He already draws lots of attention, and with that nice touch on his passes, he can really punish defenses for overshowing. It's obvious that he's a great rebounder, but he's also got a reliable post game that could prove valuable if things get sticky from time to time. In some cases where teams lack resistance in the paint, like the Indiana Pacers for example, Edey can be a huge problem on that end of the floor. Of course, the trade-off then happens on the other side, where teams will challenge his ability to keep up with the pace and try to run him out of the building. And this is where Edey's battle really shows itself. That up and down, pace and space game of the modern NBA can be incredibly taxing for someone his size. Zach Edey's rookie season is going to be an interesting viewing experience to say the least, and I hope he proves his doubters wrong. Thanks for watching this video. This is the All Things Basketball Podcast. I'm your host, Vic Lopez, as always, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.